So here we go. We are back with episode 11. We hit double digits last time. We're moving in 11. We have one new player today. Jan, or player name Errol, could you go ahead and what I want you to do is introduce yourself. Just give your name as much as you'd like. Tell us what is important to you as a person. And then give us a brief overview of your character. And why don't we do a physical description now, and then I'll have everyone else do their physical descriptions at the same time.
Sure. So my name is Errol Logan. In my real life, I am a public librarian, and in my personal life, I run a charity called The Hero's Journey. We do a community outreach through an anti-bullying through gaming, to run gaming events at local libraries for kids. Very kind of you to have me by. And I play Jan Temple, who is Jan was a foundling who was just dropped off at a local temple of Pelor, and found awakened power when he hit his teenage years. The powers of a sorcerer, but they manifested in the unusual way of being able to channel divine energy. Healy.
Sick.
Nice.
So he set out into the world to spread Pelor's message of love and acceptance.
All right, and give us a physical description.
Sure. He is a handsome young half-elf in his early maturity, and generally tends to wear practical clothing, except when it is time to do things like conduct. So.
All right, we're losing a little bit of the end of your sentences. Just make sure. I think that's on your Discord. Just make sure your voice thing is set. All right, so for the purposes of Jan, we'll go just the other way. So Sage, give a physical description of your character.
Sure. So Sage is a half-elf rogue. They are very, very androgynous looking. If you are familiar with the Sandman comic series, they look a lot like Desire from that series. So very tall, very thin, kind of pointed features, short black hair. And they wear all black clothes with a black cloak, and then a belt that has weapon holsters in it.
Ander?
So Ander is a very young human. If you had to guess, probably early 20s, possibly even late teens. Looks incredibly weedy. Like a stiff breeze will knock this guy over easy. While out on his most recent excursion,
we'll get to that in a minute. We'll get that in a minute.
All right, that's fine. You're the GM. That's fine. He has like a fairly soft chocolate hair, like hazel colored eyes, and is usually seen walking around with an oak staff, and currently he's walking around with a small bat that tends to ride on his shoulder.
And Arethi.
Sweet. Arethi is an Aarakocra, which means she is a bird person. She has the aesthetic of a tropical bird, think sort of the blue-yellow parrot range. She basically has like a tunic over which she is wearing some plain leather armor, and she's usually carrying like an orb and a spellbook. She looks like an adult bird person, and like that's 9 years old, but she's an adult. It's fine because birds only live to be 30. And she has a silly voice.
All right, so we talked a little bit about logistics on the last episode, but since we're a new party, we're going to talk about the logistics again. So due to feedback from the last episode you all were in, we're going to change two things up.
Okay.
I didn't mention this to you, Errol, but one of the mechanics of the game, since it's sort of like a West March style game, to continue continuity easily, we have basically a system. They're made into amulets, and at the end of each session, it just brings you home. So everyone starts at the same place, so you don't have to like worry about the logistics of where each character is and stuff like that. Last game that these all played in, they took them off, and some shenanigans happened. And now we're going to prevent that by just saying you can't take them off if you're outside on an adventure. You're no longer allowed to take them off. I already explained that to everyone else. Rules have changed. The other thing too, and this one's definitely more on me, is we're gonna play till around 10 o'clock Eastern time, and I'm gonna try to give you like a 20-minute warning before the end of the game, so that you can put into your mind that like we're about to go home, rather than just like 6 seconds before the end of the game. So that's on me. I'll eat that crow. All right, cool, and that'll be the thing. So
Sounds good.
we're gonna start this game with Ander, and sort of like what happened to him in the last episode. We're gonna sort of see this, imagine it in like a still, sort of like it's just like in stills and sort of the background, like as so the first still is him, like, and he's wounded and he is running, and then you see him. The next still is like a cultist just slashing his arm, like just really bad, with one of those like petrification daggers. So now he has like this huge like gash in him that's just like stone, that stoning effect is starting to spread on. Then we see him, and they're like, these wounds don't drop blood; they drop like the cement just sort of just falls out of it. And he's sort of like desperately trying to get to the waypoint, and he like puts it's like him with his hand on the waypoint. And then the last still is him in like sort of like the medic like area of Gathol, and like people are tending to him and waking up. Mechanically, for all the people, basically we sort of edited it, and he's going to take a sort of permanent wound due to the decision he made. I didn't make it too bad, just because logistics and stuff, but like when I find that like we sort of talked about it, and like an agreement was made at the time, so we went on that. So that's how we're moving on for that one, but it won't happen again because we're changing that. So now we're going to say that, so back into the now time, you all sort of meet, and actually, Ander, do you like cover this thing up, this like giant wound, or like how are you coping with it, basically, before we get into it?
I mean, I mentioned it already, but Ander is incredibly young. I mean, he's a human, so he is technically of age, more or less just barely. And he's been out doing the adventuring thing before, but this is the first time it's really cost him a lot. And I think there's a part of him that's still dealing with the shock of that, of really experiencing what he is doing is very life or death. And he's sort of caught between that self-preservation instinct to stay behind versus knowing he is ultimately in service to a much more great being than he is, and he kind of signed off on that. And maybe he's thinking he didn't really understand the consequences of what he did.
Okay. And to kind of follow up, so Arethi, you were working on just more warlock stuff between this game and last game, so no new information, right?
I was working on the infrastructure.
Oh, right, the infrastructure. Yeah. So you're still going to need some more time on that.
Cool.
But because it's only one game, it's going to take some more
with
logistics. And
Sorry,
then
yes.
Mel, or Sage, was working on learning more about the Silver Flame.
Which
So
they totally know everything about.
yeah, so you learn a lot about the Silver Flame. Basically, this deity was worshipped in a very different and distant world. Actually, the same world that Coil came from. Like they're like that
Okay.
when Coil talks about Forge Home and Morden's Hammer, like they're actually from, like that's where the most of this god worship, the
Okay.
people come from. Um,
Okay.
the Silver Flame is a protective god, and it's an old god. It protects, and it has sort of the qualities of a flame that you would like, not like the power to destroy, but more like when you huddle around a fire, you feel calm and you feel protected.
Okay.
Like, and then that sort of energy from it is that sort of
Okay.
the being of it.
Okay.
And that's sort of the end. So now we'll go back, now that we've sort of wrapped up all the downtime stuff. You all are walking into the sort of Great Hall, which is where the adventurers meet the sort of elder dwarf mayor. There's sort of a mayor dwarf that's atypical of dwarven societies here, but after spending like 200 years, so like it felt more right to do that since it's not just all dwarves here. And you actually see there are 3 people in the Great Hall this time when you all come in as a group. There is Saini, which is the head dwarven smith.
Okay.
There is Cam, who is the head elvish smith, and Keen. And when you walk in, it seems like they're having like a debate about something, but it's one of those moments where like when you walk in, they all stop. You know what I mean? Like they obviously don't want you to hear what the conversation is that they're having. And then they sort of look to you and they say, ready to set out for the adventure today?
Well, I suppose so. Is everything all right?
Yeah, don't let us stop your conversation.
Keen says, this is something that we can discuss later. And then Sani and Cam sort of leave. You can tell that they're sort of like, they'll be back. That sort of feeling. Like they're just sort of like, okay, we'll put it on pause for now. Cam says, there's a lot to work on. I wanted to let you know that the report from the last mission yesterday was good. They went back to Sparrow's Crest and found a lot of cultists hidden under a building. And he like gives you like a sketched out map. I'll show you. Give me 1 second. I'll bring you over there. So this is Sparrow's Crest here. And they found under this building right here that there was a tunnel that led into where these cultists lives. And the tunnel stretches both north and south. So it goes beyond the city in this direction both ways for quite a while. So it seems to be... Oh, sorry.
Is that the same building that had the window that had been all boarded up where the missing person was from?
Nope, that was this building right here.
Oh, okay, cool.
So it seems like there's some sort of like tunnel, at least just one long tunnel system that reaches beyond, and they cleared that out of all the cultists. So that's really good. The other thing to keep, like, there are a bunch of things that you can do. You could go after those kobolds. I know you guys have been talking about the paper dragon in the library. That for a while, that's also something. Also, one thing to keep in mind is the ritual that you all talked about that the Silver Flame was going to do is today. So, and since we have a waypoint, you can teleport back and forth. You could go visit it, do something else. I'll leave that all up to you. To Errol, if you open up the handouts in the plot hooks and investigations, all the little stars there are basically like things you guys can do. So I'll open the floor up to you all to debate.
So I think that since we were supposed to do this ritual, I think that we should go, because if we ever do need the help of people in this town, they're probably not going to take too kindly if we just skip out after talking about going to this ritual. It shouldn't take too long, and I think after that, we should go try to see the paper dragon. I know that's what I want to do. That is what my opinion is.
Well, it is your faith after all.
Indeed, it is.
But
Yes, I serve the silver flame. Yes, hail silver flame.
right. Orithe like kind of looks at Ander and kind of like looks at either where she thinks his injury is, or if she can see it, she'll look at it and just kind of.
It's
But
visible enough. Ander has like you would notice because you have been out adventuring with Ander before. Like he is not wearing his armor. He's just wearing pretty simple travel clothes.
mm,
Um, but like he has a decent deception score. He has a decent charisma, but he's very like hearing the plan to go back to Sparrow's Crest is definitely not something he is comfortable with.
mhm. Yeah, she kind of like looks at him, kind of looks at Sage, looks at Jan, kind of like, well, it sounds like there are numerous fruitful options for us to pursue. Um, I suppose I'm happy to help with whatever, although I am still interested in those ships that we had talked about a while back.
Yeah, he strokes his long beard. He's like, yes, finding a ship to get us to the islands would be a good resource as well.
That does seem like a
Well,
good resource.
Oh,
I'm
Jan?
always interested in learning more about other religions. These uh, other acolytes of the flame, was it?
Silver flame.
Sound like they may have some philosophical similarities to the worship of Palor. We're both interested in light and the uses of light and strength. So that's appeals to me to learn more. However, if there are direct physical threats to the safety of the people in this city, I'd be interested in meeting those challenges as well.
Was the mayor of Sparrow's Crest pleased with the efforts of our comrades yesterday, or have they spoken to him about the cultist threat at all?
They have not. They came home immediately after they had cleared it out.
Oh, we still don't know if they're friends or foe.
Mm-hmm.
There's
I mean,
one way to
certainly
find
not
out.
there. I suppose, as long as everyone's comfortable with that danger.
Admittedly, I'm kind of interested in looking for where some of these kobolds went with the group of fungi living fairly close to Gathol and seeming like we want to be on peaceable relationships with them. It might go a long way in terms of goodwill to track down the kobolds that are actively preying on them.
Hmm.
So I'm just going to show you the sort of over map. I haven't done the city yet, but the city is over here. Sparrow's Crest, it's like right here.
Hmm.
This is where the paper dragon is in this house, and then the kobolds would be over like here.
Do we have a sense of what time this ritual is supposed to happen at? Is it like they do it when the sun rises or the moon, becomes visible beyond the clouds or something?
The dungeon master looks directly at the camera and says, "It will happen when you want it to happen, when you get there." Like,
Okay. Okay, just checking. I wasn't sure.
It'll happen at plot o'clock.
Yeah, plot
Plot
o'clock for sure.
That's my favorite time.
Yeah. And then this is where you are. This is for all the new people.
Do we need to pass through this town to be able to get to the paper dragon?
Nope. So this town is over here, and the paper dragon is here.
Well,
we have the waypoint though.
Right. Well, you all know as the head librarian in Gathol that I am always interested in what sort of knowledge the paper dragon is keeping, and that is my ultimate goal. But as a member of the Silver Flame, I would like to build good relations with the people in Sparrow's Crest, and so that is what I would like to do.
So
But
if I
I
understand correctly, confront the kobolds, brace the dragon in its lair. What's the third option?
Explore more about Sparrow's Crest, and then fourth option is go to the ocean up here. This is kind of like an archipelago, and try to find a boat so that you could explore more of just that area in general.
Yeah, that's a like low time sensitivity priority so far, from what I kind of understand.
Oh, another thing that
So
you could...
that
Sorry, go ahead.
no, please.
Oh, another thing that you could do is no one has actually gone back to where, so these cultists captured a bunch of dwarves from a place called the Last Home, which is over here, this circle, and no one has actually gone there yet. So, like, where they're from, not where they were going. That's
Yeah,
another thing.
we found them midway through their journey, and instead of going one way, we're like, let's go to where they're going. So,
Okay.
Um,
So I guess so. What happens is that Yam will pull out a four-sided die,
Okay.
and unless we can make up our minds, we can leave it to fate.
I feel like in light of the fact that the ritual is really the only time sensitive thing, that perhaps it's worth going. I just think maybe we should see if we can bring an extra friend in case we get stabbed. Because last time that was on the table very much so, and it was not fun.
can't you just like fly away or something if someone tries to stab you?
Well, I would prefer not to be the only survivor. That doesn't
Fair.
seem very
Agree.
helpful for anyone.
So you're saying these individuals at this ritual might be hostile?
The
Almost.
faith seems fine. It's the fact that they're occultists for something, stealing people, and apparently also just attacking us on sight. Sage, why did they try to kill you anyway?
I'm not sure. I mean, all I did was ask them for their like mace weapon that they had. It looked cool. I wanted it, and they just attacked me. So
You
You
tried to rob them?
you could
I
give me
did
an
not try
insight
to-
check to see, like, if you
Okay.
want to know more about it.
Yes, I will give you. No, I did not try to rob them. I politely asked them to give me the mace. That is not the same as robbing.
Mhm.
Not to be cruel, Sage, that I will grant
So
that
it
doesn't
sounds
sound
like
like
there was-
robbery, but it does in a way almost sound like extortion.
Okay.
It
and
sounds to me like there was some sort of horrible misunderstanding.
Yes, I don't know. Like,
Double
I
nat
simply
20?
just asked them for their weapon. I mean,
So on the double crit,
Oh.
you know that you basically, when you guys locked eyes, when you and him locked eyes, he identified that you saw his cuts, and like you had that recognition of, oh my god, this is a cultist, what do I do? And he
Mhm.
understood that intrinsically, that you basically you made him, so he wanted to
Right.
get rid of you, because at the time he thought that you were the only person there. So then the
Okay.
fight broke out, and they were overwhelmed, like they had bad numbers and they didn't know about that. So that's sort of why.
when you say I made him, what does that mean?
That's like a term that like con men use when like basically the mark, the person that they're trying to con, figures out that they're a con man, right? They
Okay.
made you, or like if you're trying to follow someone and they realize that you're following them, then they made you.
Okay. All right. So he
So-
knew I was trying to con him, basically.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You could also, if you want, you could go to the ritual, then D4 the rest. You know, that all good options.
I vote for that.
All right.
Cool.
I'm
So
comfortable
Then we should do
going to just the ritual, and then we'll figure it out after that.
All
Because
right.
who knows? Things might explode spontaneously when we arrive, because that
Yes.
seems to be our
What
way.
the bright bird lady said.
All right.
My
We will
name
roll.
is
We will. I'll
Orithy.
do a roll d4. I want each of you to say what you want, and we'll just do Orethi is 1, Anders 2, Sage is 3, Jan is 4. So
What for
Orethi,
what?
so what do you want to do after the ritual?
Paper dragon.
Paper dragon, Ander,
Find some kobolds.
kobolds, Sage,
Paper dragon.
paper dragon, and Jan,
It honestly sounds to me like kobolds.
kobolds. All right. So kobolds it is.
Cool.
All right.
Kobolds it is.
Cool. So now, as we're leaving, the way that Errol, the way that we do like potions and healing objects is we kind of do it like a video game, where basically you have like a max carrying capacity, and there's a system of basically like town points. There are these things called crystallized magic that you can get to like increase your talent tree in the town. If you look in the handouts, there's like a little town section that will like elaborate on that more. But basically, right now, the group can have a total of 2 potions and 1 healer's kit. So, do any of you have potions yet?
Nope.
No.
Nope. Did any of you
No.
have a healer's kit?
I've got
Awesome.
1 potion on me.
Okay, so you have a healing potion on you?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So you guys can buy 1 healing potion that's 50 gold and 1 or I guess whatever, 1 healer's kit, which is 5 gold.
What's in a healer's kit?
A healer's kit, what that does is when someone is unconscious or dying, you can basically use a charge of it. It has 10 charges, and it will stabilize them without you having to make a medicine check.
Can I buy one of those?
You sure can.
I just remembered I have 12 gold because I keep giving all of my gold to a god I know nothing about.
Sure, you do that. Yep. I got it all marked over here.
Oh well.
All right, cool. Anyone else want to buy a potion? Nope. All right, cool. So you all teleport into Sparrow's Crest.
Where does the Gathol teleportation circle, like where is that physically located within the city? Is it like are there like a bunch of different teleportation circles and like this one is now lit up and we can use it, or is it like there's one circle that goes to a bunch of different places?
There's one
Theoretically?
circle that goes to a bunch of different places, and it's
Cool.
in it's a back room off of the Great Hall. It's like there's like the Great Hall has a bunch of meeting rooms off of it, and one of them is sort of like just like a teleportation circle with some like
Cool.
ancient magey type stuff that have fallen in like disrepair.
Sick.
So
Uh,
one of the things that I didn't mention to you, Jan, is over the 200 years spent in Gathol, like the connection to the divine and the arcane diminished over time, and now we're just sort of starting to rebuild it. Okay, so you guys appear in Sparrow's Crest. You teleport into this building. It's not a great looking building, but it is a building. You all, it seems to be already plot o'clock as you arrive, and you see a bunch of people sort of making their way up this way. This is where they said that the ritual takes place. So like people are just sort of moseying in that direction. It's not like anyone's running or there's a rush for it. It's just sort of they're going in that direction.
I would like to do some bullshit, please.
Oh,
have an
bullshit
idea.
away, Orethi.
All right. I still have 2 lemons, so I would like to take a lemon, cut it open, like, and anoint myself with the lemon juice
Okay.
as like a imagine if holy water, but it's a lemon juice, and then I'll do the thing where I like put some gold and some water and like in a little pile and be like, oh, maybe this will work on it.
In the
Literally
house.
just throwing things at the wall. Yeah, just in the house. Like I'll pick a little corner, maybe in the same cardinal direction as where the location where the statue of me ? Is now.
My favorite part about this is the look on Errol's face, and the like. You can tell he's thinking like, I'm gonna have to go watch these videos because like, what? How is this now the ritual to honor a god in any way? But it is. It's that's how it happened.
I mean, but it is, except that like Orithi doesn't understand. So she's just trying different combinations of lemon, water, and gold. So
Lemon-
I'll take one
Are-
lemon,
are-
one gold.
Are
and
you
one
trying to make lemonade?
Maybe.
lemonade is going to be the new healing potion for warlocks. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, you make like a little tiny shrine inside of the house. Okay.
Just in case, and basically be like, I don't know if this other god is very evil, so maybe please protect me. And thanks. Cool. Hope everything's good. If you need anything, just let me know. Okay, cool, bye. Boop, boop, boop. And I like dot myself with lemon juice, I guess.
Yeah. As an
Jason.
aside to just the people watching, like I like the idea that people like you think this god is evil when it's actually like definitely not the opposite of that. Anyway,
I have no proof of which gods are evil yet, so
true.
I'm gonna assume that
Very
everything is fine.
all right,
Fair.
cool.
So
Anyone else
I'll
want to do
put one
anything,
gold.
Ander?
Actually, can I take a second to do some of my own religious nonsense?
Let's do it.
And basically, mechanically, I want to tap into the two Eldritch invocations that I just got.
Okay.
And I want to cast Mage Armor and False Life on myself, if you'll allow it.
Yeah. So since this is the first time you cast these, what do these look like?
So, for
Oh, sorry, that was my bad.
It's okay.
Ignore that.
so Ender like reaches into his pack and pulls out like a shredded piece of leather that he specifically like took a knife to and basically dismantled his old leather armor. And he closes his eyes, clutches it tightly, and says like a prayer to Mistra, asking her for her divine protection, knowing that it is greater than any leather or steel he could don on himself.
Nice.
And what do you want? Do you want us to roll a d4 and then add 4 to that for temp HP, or would you rather do that when we start combat if that happens?
Yeah. Just roll it now. Yeah.
Sure. Cool. Okay. So that's 8 temp HP.
All right.
Nice.
Cool. Sage or Jan, you want to do anything?
The only thing that I'm really sorry. Do you
No,
want
go
to go
ahead.
first, Sage?
No, you can go.
All right. The only thing that I'm really interested in right now is to try to maybe roll religion to figure out what Orithi is doing.
Okay. Sure.
And if I can call upon the blessing of Palor when I do that and use guidance for the
Yeah.
extra D4.
Mhm.
All right. So did that work?
Yes. So yeah, guidance is yeah.
So-
All right, cool. So perfect.
And then plus my religion check would make that 16.
All right, 16. Yeah, next time what you can do is just on your character sheet in the
Yeah.
skill, you can just click on religion
Yeah.
and it'll roll that religion for you.
How do I get it to add the guidance?
You'll need to roll that separate. The just like what
I'll
I would
just
do is
roll-
for
just
guidance.
D4 it and then add that. Okay.
Yeah. So
Alright.
a 14. Yeah. So it seems to be some sort of like interesting ritual. It's tough because you don't know what the significance of the lemon is. So you think that it might be like maybe like there's something there that you're missing. Like you need to know what the lemon is, and then once you know that, then it'll be like because it definitely seems like an offering of some kind, but typically a lemon would be like worthless, like it wouldn't have any value. So that makes it a question, right?
She also
Alright.
would like to know what she's doing, but she doesn't.
All right, Sage.
So what would I roll? I don't know if it would be like religion or perception to try to figure out if there's before going to this ritual, if there's any way that like they should not be acting anything that's gonna like offend them, because
Mm.
Sage totally knows all about this religion.
Yeah,
You're
I
the
mean,
expert.
I would say you don't even need to roll. Like you
Okay.
you'll be able to like guide these fools through like not standing in the wrong place or doing the wrong thing, or like just by virtue of having studied it, like like what to
Okay.
do.
Okay.
All right. Cool. So you all sort of arrive at like a church kind of looking thing. It's basically just like a big temple. And in the temple, you see two long tables on either side with chairs, and then up at the top there's a podium, and there is like there's like a door that leads outside, and that door is open, and there's sort of like a big place for like a bonfire that's set up. It's pretty chilly, but sort of everyone understands that it's going to be chilly until like the big bonfire lights up, and then it's going to kind of heat the place up a little bit more. On the two tables, there's like a bunch of just crafting supplies. Like there's like woodworking stuff. There's like cloth and tailoring supplies. There's just like any sort of kits that you can imagine that would be like building, leatherworking, that's kind of stuff. It's all just laid out on the tables. It's been used frequently, and there's also like raw materials just like sort of all over the place. It looks like if a crafter was also a hoarder, that sort of thing.
I think that's just crafters.
That's fair.
Right.
So you all walk in, and Sage sort of guides you to stand in one of the corners, since you're just sort of observing, you're not really participating in it. Then all the people sort of file in, and then they fill up all the chairs, and then there are extra people just sort of standing around observing, like you. And then the Siegfried, the cleric, walks in, and I think everyone would probably know this. He's holding like this silver goblet that has fire coming out of it, and all of you like can kind of piece together that it's an ever burning sort of chalice, like it's magically fire forever.
Cool.
And then he sort of walks down the aisle, and then he lights the fire. Here's what I want to do. Can I have all of you make an insight check as soon as he lights the fire?
Is this
I have
the
insight,
goblet of
that's fine.
fire?
I was specifically avoiding making that. It's just right there.
Yay!
Holy
Good
cows.
job, team.
How many crits can we get?
Jeez.
Hey.
Has to happen once in a while. This is gonna make up for the every time I roll a 4 when we do combat at some point.
Yeah.
All right. So, Ander, you might not notice, but everyone else does. As soon as Siegfried lights the fire, the attitude in the crowd changes. So what happens is they sort of are all sitting there. He lights the fire, and then they all just start to make stuff. Like they all just start to like make things. Ander, you think that that's just sort of the symbol to get started on making stuff, but everyone else gets like a very like weird feeling where basically the ability to make stuff has been given to them again. Like basically like you think that maybe before this they couldn't have created anything at all. Like they were just people, and they have no art in them. And this sort of goes on for about an hour, and people produce things and stuff like that. I'm gonna need so at one point during this hour, as you guys are watching, Sage, someone enters your field of view. Like you're just sort of watching this thing, and then this other dude enters your field of view, and then signals you in a language that only you would understand. Like the other characters wouldn't understand this, and it's basically like it's called thieves' cant, and it's basically a language only rogues speak. So they flash like a symbol at you, and they say basically, I'm going to give you a message. Don't react.
Okay.
Then during the hour, at one point, you notice this person slip a message into your pocket and then leave. It doesn't seem like anyone else noticed that. So that all happens. Then the ritual
Taking notes.
then the ritual starts to come to a close, and what happens is one by one, as everyone is finished, they come up to they like take their offering, their like little thing that they made, and then they like show Siegfried it, and he sort of like compliments them on their creation in some way. Some things are different, like he's like, ah, yes, I really like the way you did this shading, or this, whatever they made, and then they just throw it into the fire, and they just burn this creation, and then you see the people other than Ander, you see that sort of like they become dull again, like not like stupid, but like they don't understand where they are anymore, and then they just walk out of the building. And each one in turn does this, all the people that were making stuff, and then they all leave, and then Siegfried stays around to sort of tend to the fire and make sure it doesn't go like bananas, with his major domo, like his like housekeeper basically. All right, so do we want to do Sage first, or do we want to do like question this dude, or whatever you want?
I would like
He's
to.
following
Sage go
Sage's lead,
first.
so
Okay, Sage, what
Yep.
would you like to do?
I would like to know what message was given to me.
Okay, so the message it says, come downstairs in the cultist mansion. Someone new wants to meet you.
So Sage is gonna turn to everybody and just very calmly go, I will be back in a bit. Don't worry about where I am. Don't ask questions. I will be back.
last time you said that you got hit in the head a couple times and got knocked unconscious repeatedly, so perhaps, no, I will in fact be extremely worried.
Okay, you can be extremely worried. However, that is not going to stop me from leaving.
Do you have to pray? Have we done something wrong? She like looks around like, I didn't touch anything by accident, did I? Like checks to make sure she hasn't like shed any feathers on the floor or something.
Yeah, I need a moment. These rituals are always they get to me sometimes, and I just need a moment to myself to collect my thoughts. I'm sure you understand how it is with your religious deity. Sometimes you just need a moment of reflection by yourself.
I guess just scream really loudly if somebody tries to club you over the head again.
Yes, thank you.
Mhm.
All right. So yes, Sage is gonna go.
Okay, so we'll save that. So Ander, Arethi, and Jan are left in the temple. What would you all like to get up to?
So do they have literature
Yeah, I mean, some people, they had like blank.
pamphlets?
Or for the religion? No, there isn't any like sort of like pamphlets or religious Bibles or anything like that. No.
I want to go talk to Siegfried if you want to come with me. Like, Arethi's like, I feel like this is a chance to do some a discussion to learn more about these people and maybe hopefully see if Siegfried is angry with the group for what they did yesterday.
I'd certainly
yeah.
be interested. Certainly, and
Yeah.
if there's any smoothing over that needs to happen, maybe we can work on it together.
Okay.
All right.
And then Sage will know where to find us.
Awesome. So the two of you or the three of you? Oh,
Three, I think.
Yeah. Ander, I think you might be muted.
Am I?
Oh, you were.
No, you're
did you
not.
want? What
You're
did
good.
you want to do?
Ander does not want to be by himself here right now, so he will happily go with Arethi and Jan. Is that how you pronounce it?
All right, cool. So, so you walk up to Siegfried, and he's sort of tending the fire. Mostly at this point, the religious ceremony has concluded, and all he's doing is make sure this thing doesn't like burn down the thing. What were you trying to look for there, Jan, in that insight check?
I think that was an earlier one.
Oh,
That
I
was the
just
previous one.
typed the pronunciation of my name into the chat box. So
oh, okay.
for
Sorry.
ease.
I only saw the
Yeah.
insight check come up just then, so I guess I just missed
No,
it
it
the
was
first time.
no, it's from earlier.
To that end,
So,
though,
let-
I want to make an insight check and see if he hates us,
Okay. Yeah.
just
go
in case. Because he might.
Before you go and have this conversation, I just want you to know that Paylor shines his light upon you, and that you should have his guidance during this conversation if you're
It's a
going to
good
make a
idea.
roll.
All right. Cool.
I have no idea what this guy's
Yeah,
thinking.
you don't really have any idea if it was a good ritual, bad ritual, if he hates you or likes you. It's like being a normal person and trying to just you have no idea what other people think of you. That's the terror. Okay. So what do you say to him?
Thanks for letting us observe your ceremony. It seemed very moving for everyone involved.
He nods and he says, it is a lot of effort to keep up the fog, to keep the monsters out. But I think maybe someday there will come a time where we don't need to, and I'm hoping that your group and the people you bring will denote the marking of the start of that time.
I'm sorry. Are you having difficulty with any particular kinds of monster?
Well,
this is our first conversation, so please forgive me if you're repeating things that you've already.
We have a new friend.
he says, no
Bird
offense
hands.
taken. It is totally okay. I mean, basically, monsters roam everywhere. The rearranging or the event that happened has made monsters terrible and in control of the world. And this is when I found this place, I asked the Silver Flame for protection, and they provided. But what we need to offer is part of their fire, their creativity, and that is how we offer him the energy to keep this place up. Or it, sorry, not him. It's not a. It is. Fire is not gendered.
I understand. Well, I would certainly be pleased to put my skills to use. Hopefully, after this,
He nods.
once our friend is returned, we can push back the darkness for you.
Thank you.
So, just as a out of character, it does seem to me like that's what's happening. That's what that ritual was about. Was that these people are having their creativity drained
Mm-hmm. Yep.
to power some sort of magical effect.
Yeah.
I'm just glad it's not a human sacrifice, TVH. This seems fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. That's exactly what's happening, and it's a religious effect of some sort of magic, but it's not like basically they're giving it to the god, not to just No.
Right. So it's Errol maybe sees something a little sinister here, but
Yeah, I mean,
don't know. Maybe Jan's like, oh, this.
It's
seems
definitely
fun.
on both sides. You know what I mean? Taking the creativity away, that's totally an interpretation. That's totally valid.
Until we push the monsters back, these people aren't going to be free to pursue their own destiny. They're going to have the work of their hands subsumed in a fire every night or something like that. So,
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that's awful. Okay.
So, Orethi's going to ask, how long will this flame here, this one, she makes a gesture at the literal fire. How long will this burn? Do you keep it always, or is it just for the ritual?
It's just for the ritual. I'll tend it down tonight, and then the next time we do the ritual in a couple weeks, I will build another bonfire or another pyre.
How have things been since last we met?
Good. No instances. A group came and played some wonderful music at the tavern, and that's all I heard of it. So hopefully it went well.
Can I make another insight check now?
Yeah.
Cool. Can I use my guidance?
Yep.
Okay, so the guidance is a d4, so that plus, well, it's not going to be good, but just in case.
You think the other
Yeah.
group definitely played some music? He was honest about that.
That part's true. Be like, Cerethi's like, oh, that sounds great. Just like, cool.
Well, all right.
Definitely just killing time until Sage comes back.
All
like,
right, so we will cut
Yeah,
over.
I think we can divert to her. Yeah.
All right, yeah, we
to
can
that.
cut over to Sage, but we're actually going to take a break first, and then we'll come back to after that.
Okay.
Sage, you're